So once again, we will bring you the grid. Pole position, Scotland's Ross Martin for the Wright Kart team. This is just Ross's second karting event of the year. Mentioned earlier what happened to his agreed and arranged drive, but he's not dwelling on that. He's trying to raise the finances to continue, but in the meantime, rather than sulking, he's getting out and winning kart races where possible in the British Championship. Clement Novalak for Team Oaks, team run by former world karting champion Ollie Oakes, on the outside of row number 1. Dean McDonald and Luke Knott for Strawberry Racing on row 2. Oliver Hodgson and Archie Tillett on row 3. Harrison Thomas and Ben Davis row 4. The start is too fast. And they will go around again. Connor Jupp and Shay Pearce on row 5. Zach Fulk and Gus Lawrence on row 6. And Chris Lawrence, no relation, rounds out the field. So we're going to have a restart. So we've got 1, 2, 3 Scotsmen. Chris Lawrence from Louth. I think that's in Scotland. Sounds Scottish. Do for me. We've definitely got Ross Martin and Dean McDonald. Scotland, we've got Harrison Thomas from Wales. And amongst the 13 drivers, 3 former Kart Masters champions, Connor Jupp, Dean McDonald and Oliver Hodgson, all with 1 title to their name. Ben Davis, in kart number 11 for Dan Holland Racing, the only driver who isn't a cadet, doing double duty in the senior classes. Ross Martin may be forgiven for being a bit too quick in his first start at pole position of the season. This time, though, we are off and racing. Martin leads. His countryman Dean McDonald slots into second place. And that was a very good start from Oliver Hodgson in the PF International number 49 to grab third from the third row of the grid. So Novalak got caught napping. And Novalak, and I think that's Harrison Thomas running wide coming off the bridge. And a change at the front. Oh, and a collision at the back. A change to the front. Dean McDonald takes the lead. Ross Martin tries to fight back into the second hairpin. Behind them, Connor Jupp and Harrison Thomas got together or spun. And Shay Pearce in the number 16 Litchfield kart had nowhere to go. Had to bail out down the escape road and rejoin the track at the place he left it so as not to incur a penalty. But he is some way behind. And yes, the problem is that once you store the engines of these karts, you've got to bump start them physically, which neither Jupp nor Thomas show any real inclination to do. You never know, they might have some sort of mechanical issue as well. But up at the front, McDonald comes down towards the scene of the earlier incident, with Hodgson having a very good opening lap to run second. Martin, the poleman, third. Side by side for fourth between Novalak and Luke Knott. Luke Knott dives at the inside of Novalak, and Luke Knott really needs... He hasn't finished a race yet. Neither has Ross Martin. Neither has Connor Jupp. And Connor Jupp's not going to finish this one either. But Luke Knott desperately just needs to get round what is expected to be a race distance of 12 or so laps. But it's McDonald and Hodgson. This is how they were in race 1 yesterday. Although McDonald has a bit of a bigger advantage over Hodgson than he currently has. But it was much later in the race where suddenly Dean McDonald's kart developed an issue that spat him out of the lead into retirement and gifted Hodgson the win. McDonald did gain a modicum of revenge in race 2 yesterday by beating Hodgson in a head-to-head fight. Hodgson wants to show Dean who's boss, takes the lead, and Dean fights straight back going into the Fullerton S's. And yellow flags waving up at turn 2 on the banking. And trying to see who that is that has retired. I do believe it may be the number 44 kart of Luke Knott. It is So Luke Knott's perfect record of failing to finish a race so far here at Kart Masters 2016 continues, and Clement Novalak has also dropped to the back. So Novalak and Knott were battling together. I didn't see what happened out on the banking, but Novalak has dropped back to 9th place of the 10 karts that still run. The top 3 nose to tail, then a gap back to Archie Tillett on the Fullerton chassis, holding off Zach Fulk, the number 85 of Gus Lawrence, and the number 11 of Ben Davis at Dan Holland Racing. Behind Davis, the Praga kart of Chris Lawrence, and then the recovering Novalak and the delayed Shea Pierce. Clement Novalak, bit between his teeth, sets a purple middle sector. This is a quick lap from number 10. How many more places can he make up? He's got to try and reduce a 1.5 second deficit to Chris Lawrence, and he's done that already. 6 minutes to go. McDonald with his hands full of number 49, Oliver Hodgson. Ross Martin watching, seeing how things develop. Waiting to maybe pick up the pieces if they fall his way. Although McDonald and Hodgson, both very experienced drivers. And they will not... Well, Hodgson won't throw away a second place finish if the move for the lead is too risky. If the move is on, he will jolly well make it. But these drivers, more than any others, know that the prize is only awarded Sunday afternoon. And nobody really cares, in the greater scheme of things, who wins the heat races. It's all about the Grand Prix on Sunday afternoon. Ross Martin keeping a watching brief, and the top 3 have now got a 4-second lead over number 21 Archie Tillett, who is holding off Zach Fulk in the 34, Gus Lawrence in the 85, and Ben Davis in the 11. And Novalak in kart number 10 is gaining on all 4 of those drivers at a considerable rate. He was a 10th quicker than them through sector 1, another 10th quicker through sector 2. He's only just over a second behind them. He's got 4.5 minutes to go, so Novalak will be eyeing up 4th place. And Dean McDonald, really good example this from Dean McDonald, how to drive under pressure but not drive defensively to slow you and your rivals down, but how to just not give Hodgson even the merest whiff of an open door with which Hodgson may feel persuaded to put his go-kart in. And of course, Ross Martin is keeping Hodgson on his toes by tagging along in 3rd place. 3.5 minutes to go. Hodgson's on a very quick lap, however. Purple first sector. He's just 1800ths of a second behind the race leader. But it's actually McDonald who winds up with the fastest lap of the race so far. 55.38 for Dean McDonald. And the gap grows to a whopping 1/4 of a second. Over Hodgson, who goes across the Litchfield Bridge. Right turn, downhill. The Tony kart of McDonald leads the Birrell ART of Hodgson, and the Wright, Simon Wright built Wright of Ross Martin in 3rd. Then the Fullerton kart of Archie Tillett in 4th. And the OTK chassis of Zach Fulk in number 34 machine, rounding out the top 5. And then it's Gus Lawrence's Octane chassis for the Team BMR outfit. Yes, the same Team BMR that races in the British Touring Car Championship. And as they start lap number 8, McDonald reaches down into his bag of speed and brings up a 55.29 second lap, new fastest lap, and suddenly there is clear air between himself and Oliver Hodgson in 2nd. There's more clean air between the first 2 than there is between Hodgson and Martin in 3rd. And Ross Martin looking particularly aggressive, But is this Hodgson struggling, or is this Hodgson with 2 minutes to go doing what he has a tendency to do and just ease back for a lap or two to let his tyres cool? Behind them, it's still Tillett in fourth, but Clement Novalak has caught and passed the number 11 Kart of Ben Davis. And now sets about Gus Lawrence, Zach Fulk and Archie Tillett. 90 seconds to go. McDonald's lead, nearly half a second over Hodgson. 55.24, another new fastest lap for the Strawberry Racing driver. So that will be pleasing for Dean McDonald, because it tells him that the kart is set up to just keep coming on and on and on as the races progress. That was on lap number 9, and at the moment Hodgson doesn't appear to have an answer for it. Into the second hairpin they go. Dean McDonald, the 2012 MSA British Cadet Champion. He also won the Kart Masters Cadet title that year. Oh, Novalak gets to Fulk, passes Fulk. Sets off after Gus Lawrence going down the back straight. Fulk, though, tries to fight back, but Clement Novalak successfully rebukes him. 45 seconds to go. Dean McDonald begins lap number 11. And Ross Martin sets his personal best lap of the race, 55.27. And obviously the same engines, part of the OK package this year. Dean McDonald's fastest lap of the race, 55.24. Of the other drivers in the race, Hodgson, Martin, Novalak have all done 55.2s. Tillett, Gus Lawrence, Fulk, and a few others all in the 55.6s. The clock strikes 0. Last lap board will go out this time. We'll begin lap number 12. Dean McDonald has a 0.4 of a second lead over Oliver Hodgson. Ross Martin presses on in third. Archie Tillett all on his own in fourth, but it's now Novalak in fifth. At the expense of Gus Lawrence, then Fulk, Davis and Chris Lawrence in ninth, with Shea Pierce still going in 10th place. Into the first hairpin, Dean McDonald has once again just gained a slight upper hand in the psychological battle against a driver of Hodgson's experience, although Hodgson will not let that bother him too much. Hodgson's been Mark Litchfield's teammate for several years. There's nothing that mental pressure that he can't handle. But still, it'll be worrying that McDonald's kart continues to get quicker and quicker as the races progress, and Hodgson could not respond. The checkered flag is coming out. Dean McDonald takes the win from Hodgson and Martin. Now we wait for P4, and that is Archie Tillett continuing his strong weekend. Novalak recovers to 5th. Gus Lawrence is 6th. Zach Fulk 7th. Ben Davis in 8th. Then Chris Lawrence crosses the line on the Praga kart now, and rounding out the field after being an innocent victim of a collision between two other drivers and having to take evasive action, Shea Pierce for Litchfield Motorsport rounds out the top 10. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this morning's racing here at PFI.